Welcome to Stories We Love. Stories We Love is about stories we love. We interview people who truly care and who are making a positive difference in this amazing world with its amazing people and its amazing creatures. And this show is meant to inspire your mind in new ways of seeing things, open your heart, and cause you just to feel really good. I'm your hostess, and my name is Karen Lorre, and you can go to storiesweloveshow.com to get the full playlist. And today I feel super excited because today we get to talk to a beautiful woman named Sarah Craig, and Sarah picks up litter with her paddleboard or canoe and just also in her car. And Sarah, you do something called Trash Tramp. What is that?
Yeah, Trash Tramp was kind of my it's been a contraption that I've been using for a while. Kind of came up with the name sort of and then the company through the pandemic. But while I've been training on my canoe, it's an outrigger canoe and it has a hole. It's like if you ever seen like the outriggers, they have the ama on the side. So it's like a two-part boat. So basically paddling, I'd be picking up trash and I'd be putting it in my footwells and I'd be putting it behind the seat. At the end of a practice, I would just be full with trash. And it just got to this point where I was like, I can't keep training. So I started to figure out putting stuff. I started with like a bungee. And then I had this weird net, this shopping bag net thing that I just kind of wired between my yakos and my ama. So I
Right,
had
so
this
just
sort
to
of,
define, the yakos are the things that, so if here's your canoe, the ama is the thing that balances the other side, and the yakos are the things that connect to the ama.
yes, yeah.
Just
And
for those,
traditionally those would be like wooden,
yeah,
but on the canoe that I paddle, they are
fiberglass.
fiberglass or carbon fiber, I think. Yeah, carbon fiber.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, so I attached that to the Akko, so it's next to me while I'm paddling. So I started to throw trash in that, and eventually it's been developed into a prettier thing that is made from the award ribbons that we win at canoe races, because everyone's winning awards, and so we just have tons of them left over. And some people are new, so they might not. That doesn't mean I'm a great paddler. It just means that I've been paddling long enough to get awards. But so I use those to reclaim the ribbons, and then now it kind of, when I paddle, I can see that it's this pretty little keepsake, but it's holding the trash. So I pick up the trash as I paddle, put it in the trash tramp, and I can keep training. It doesn't stop me from training because I'm not being overflowed by trash. Granted, there's plenty trash, so I mean, I could get overflowed, but it's still, it makes it better, and I can pick up trash each time I go out. And then Trash Tramp is what I decided to call it, because trash, because I'm picking up the trash, and the tramp is, if you look at a sailing canoe, or in any catamaran or something, there's usually that like hammock type thing that's on the side, and that's called the tramp, right? So that's like a trampoline.
Yeah.
So the Trash Tramp is like literally what it is. It's a trampoline holding the trash, but it's also trying to reclaim the word tramp, because tramp is derogatory towards women. It's been used against us for as long as I can remember, because prostitution is the oldest profession. And so tramp has been something that I've been wanting to reclaim. And there's a beautiful song called "That's Why the Lady is a Tramp." So there's that, but then also tramp, to trample, to tramp is your footprint. So to lighten your footprint on this planet. And so Trash Tramp has various meanings.
You love words. I do too. I love that so much. So before I go on, let me ask you this one thing, like what inspired you to be, a picker-upper of trash? Can I ask you first, as a child, did you have a lot of significant experiences in nature?
Yeah. As a kid, for sure, I was always in nature. Every summer we got to go to a cabin and be in the woods and tramp around, and nature's kind of where I think most comfortable. Either in the woods or in the water, I'm pretty happy. Out to sea, I love being out to sea. I didn't always have canoeing. We had other kinds of canoeing, like kayaking and stuff, but outrigger canoeing I just found when I was like 30. So I'm grateful for that. But yes, definitely always been a nature lover and appreciative of all animals, plants. I hug trees. I'm
I
from
do
Oregon.
too. They like it. They hug back.
They do. They do.
And with you had told me a story about an island we've both been to called Rotan in Honduras. We didn't go together, but I love that you've been there and I was there and I learned how to scuba dive there. That's where I became a PADI certified scuba diver because I also love the ocean and I sailed on Hawaii. I sailed from California to Hawaii and I lived on a boat. So I have a very strong connection with the ocean. So tell me what your experience was in Rotan and why that inspired you.
Yeah, I mean, I had an amazing time for the most part in Roatan. It is a beautiful island, amazing people, just natural, beautiful, protected by the ocean because of the reef and the mangroves, and of course the locals that live there and love the place. So it was a great experience. I got to go to a resort, which is something I've never been able to do before. I didn't grow up fancy, so I got to go on a fancy vacation. So that was pretty cool. But being there, white skin and at a resort, I definitely look like someone who had money. So of course I had, like, I don't know, $100 cash or something on me. We were walking on a beach and we got held up at gunpoint and there was just two of us there. And, it was at the time, it was super, super scary. The effects lasted for a while. I think I'm probably over it now. I don't have any ill feelings or ill will towards that person. I understand that when you're in a situation where you don't have what you need, you're going to go find a way to get it. And I think that's human nature. It's understandable. It doesn't justify him holding a gun in my face, but it's the things you do in desperation. I can't judge because I wasn't at that point. I had the cash and he needed it. So anyway, so that's that point aside. While I was there, it all kind of compounded to that moment, but there was plenty trash everywhere we went on that island, specifically in the parts where it was the locals that had to deal with it. And I know it wasn't their trash. Like I saw kids running in trash piles as if I would have been running in a pile of leaf growing up in Oregon. So it was like magical to see them see the beauty and stuff that I knew was not beautiful, but it was beautiful because they made the best of it. And so I was a bit heartbroken about our trash coming to an island where they weren't the cause of it. So they had to suffer our consequences. And then, of course, then that justifies in my head why I got held up because I'm just a visitor. And of course, I should help, people on the island. But that being aside, so when I came back, I think that when you have a trauma, when you have an event happen, you either sort of shut yourself out from the world, or you kind of have to find a way to deal with it and move through it. And so my way was sort of just obsessively picking up trash. And I was training with a good friend of mine. We were both training for 2 long races together. Maui to Molokai and then Molokai to Oahu.
So then you started obsessively picking up trash. Thank you. I do that too. I've done that all my life. And what is training out the trash and Puakea designs? What is that?
Yeah, so the training for those races it became because we were fundraising and trying to get to the race. And so it became training out the trash because instead of taking out the trash, we're training out the trash. So every time we went out, we picked up trash. And so then I became a Puakea Designs ambassador. And so Puakea Designs is they design the canoes that I paddle, and there's other designers out there, but the canoe that I have is a Puakea Designs canoe. And they adapted with me training out the trash and have been promoting that idea so that other canoers around the world now are hashtag training out the trash, which is like, it's kind of fun. And then Puakea Designs also, they have made changes to their shipping and to their ways of business. And it's run in California, it's run by women mostly. And they've been really strong advocates for the environment. So it's a really cool organization. And the builder's he's been doing great things for the environment as well. So it's nice to see when companies are making changes. And so I'm happy to be a part of that.
Love that so much. And thank you, Puakea. That's beautiful. Bravo. If you're looking for a canoe, I'm going to suggest Pukea, and I'm not being endorsed by you guys, those guys. You might be, but I'm not. And I
Yeah.
think that sounds fantastic. I love it. I love it so much. And, I love that other people around the world are doing it and they're being better with their shipping and, and being more green just themselves. And it is, I will say, the person that introduced me to you, his name is Joey Calderon, and Joey also picks up trash on his paddleboard. And he said that you were, great, just in every way. He said you're cute as a button and adorable. And I have to agree with him. And so I just wanted to say thank you to Joey also for picking up the trash as well, but also for just recommending you, because I love what you're saying and it makes so much sense what you're talking about, and how the trauma, you can either shut down because of trauma or you can use trauma to inspire you to do something great. And that seems to be a theme for people who do things great, is they take trauma and they use it to inspire them as opposed to shutting down. And then you said you told me in a different time when we were talking, you said you don't, measure the amount of trash you get. Why?
Yeah, I know it's super important to measure the amount of trash because data collection is really important for policy change, and when we're voting on something, we need to be able to show people that this is the amount of change you're going to make, right? But when it came to me, I realized that, yes, every little bit counts. And there are a lot of people collecting data, and I do try to help at times. But I realized that for me, I would make a bigger impact if I just did it and shared it. And kind of, as long as I didn't think of it as a job, then I was going to continue that. And it was going to be more sustainable for me. So it's a passion instead of a job, because I'm not keeping track. It's like, once you start keeping track of your hours, you start to look at something as like, okay, this is a job. And it's like, no, it's my duty. I can do it. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm not going to keep track. But I'm so grateful for all of the people who are keeping track, because we definitely need that for policy change.
I love that. And one of the things that you talked about when you were talking about being on Roatan and where you got held up, the amount of compassion you have and the amount of understanding you have. I love that so much, and it's so important in the world. Do you have a sense of where you learned that or got that, or was that just natural, inherent within you? Or because it's a beautiful quality, and it's something that I want to, if we can find where it comes from in more people, that would be good, and then engender that.
Thanks. That's a very nice compliment. I think it's the whole nature versus nurture argument. I think that a good portion is my parents are kind humans. I think that I was lucky enough to be around kind people, but I think I also had a lot of experience growing up, like a lot of people probably did, but I was bullied and I understood what it was like to be hurt. And so I might have been forced to see a different perspective. Instead of just kind of blaming people, I kind of want to see why they do something. And of course, I'm flawed beyond belief as well, and I've made mistakes. And so through my own mistakes, I can see that you don't judge. You kind of have to you have to empathize, or I have to empathize. You can do what you want.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I think empathy is really important. And I also have been bullied, so I get it. It's so silly. And I found, for me, anybody who is bullying, often they've been trained that way. They've been bullied by parents or by teachers or by church or by somebody that usually has some authority, an older sibling perhaps, or older cousin or something. And they get sort of bullied there. And I think it's like a legacy. And when people like you and people like me, we say, okay, we're not going to bully anybody. We're not going to bully anybody, even if they are not cool to us. You stop the legacy and you start real change happening. So I really commend you in taking that inspiration from that experience as a kid into this more powerful stance that you have now of having empathy. I love that.
Thank you. I mean, I'm not perfect. I definitely sometimes, I get angry, but for the most part, I mean, meditation has helped too, but it's for the most part, I really do. If somebody is hurtful, I try to find a reason to understand first before I can say oh, that's unacceptable,
Yeah. And I really do think that everybody has a good reason for doing something. It might not be good to you or to me, but they have a good reason that makes sense to them about why they do it. Even something like throwing out the trash. Let's say somebody tosses it out their car or something. I'm sure they have a good reason. I don't know exactly why it is, but I'm sure they have a good reason that works for them that makes it okay for them to do that. I have never ever been able to do that, but I also had a mom that would say, if you see any trash, pick it up, take it, put it in your pocket, put it in a bag, we'll put it in the trash can. You know, she was very like that at the beginning of my recollection. So, and then you know, there's a lot of people that are doing what they can to be zero waste. Is that something you're trying to do, or?
Yeah, I've been trying to do that for, I feel like a couple years now. It's been at first it was overwhelming because I thought that you had to be perfect. And then I kind of got to this point where I was like, every time I implement something new, it's getting better, and it's not perfect, but my impact is being felt, at least by me. I mean, my trash bag is a lot smaller. My trash output is a lot smaller. It still exists, but it's smaller. And actually was I was just talking to this a new friend on the phone, but she's going to help organize a zero waste race for our canoe, one of our canoe clubs that's part of one of SCORA, which is a greater canoe organization that has like 20 clubs throughout Southern California. But so we just had a conversation. She's going to try to make her race zero waste. And she brought up the quote, and I'm going to just read it because I had posted it or something, and she was like, what was that quote again? And it was from, she's the zero waste chef, Anne Marie Bonneau. But she said, we don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly. And so I really kind of took that to heart, because like I'm a Virgo, and I'm trying to like, I get a bit obsessive about things. And I was like, I don't need to stress about this. I just need to do my best.
I love that. Yeah, so that's hashtag SCORA if people want to get involved in the canoeing thing. Is that what that was from, what you were saying?
Yeah, it's hashtag Scora out the trash. So it's kind of
Oh,
similar to training out the trash, but
uh-huh.
Scora is the Southern California Outrigger Racing
Oh,
Association.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a great, we've been trying to be zero waste since 2019 now, and obviously slow going, but it's slowly trickling into our clubs. And I feel like this year we're gonna make some changes.
That is so cool. And I will say, you know, when you talked about the trash not being Honduras's trash, it's like America's trash or somebody else's trash. I was invited to go to the high Arctic, and we were in the high Arctic, and there was trash there. And we saw these scientists who said that they were getting pesticides coming up through the Gulf Stream, and they knew the pesticides were from places like Israel and the United States and Spain and different places. And they knew it because the countries have to say which pesticides are which. So it's really fascinating, you know, how our life experience doesn't just impact, you know, us in our home. It is worldwide, everything we're doing. And so, you know, I love that you're doing this, and I love that you're, you know, recognizing that we have impact on others all over. And that whole thing that your friend said about doing it imperfectly, or the quote about, you know, like there's a word in Japanese called wabi sabi, which is perfectly imperfect. And, you know, if you just know that you're doing it as best you can, it'll make an improvement, you know? So the question, so you seem to be motivated by connection and doing things with other people, doing it together. What does that connection mean for you?
Well, I think you touched on it a little bit by talking about the trash, you know, that's other people's trash is showing up in other people's land, right? And one of your previous shows about the people who are saving the baby eagles, you know, it's the eagle eggs are not hard anymore because of the DDT. And the DDT, when were we using that? We were using that years and years ago, and now it's at the bottom of the ocean, and it's going from the bottom of the ocean to the fish. The fish are being eaten by the eagles, and then the eagles are laying the eggs, and then the eggs aren't hard anymore. So we're losing eagles. And it's like, that's just like one connection, but it's like everything's connected. What happens when we don't have eagles anymore? You know, all of the things in that food chain go away. It's like, people are talking about losing the bees. Like, what happens if we lose bees? We may or may not have a bee shortage, but the point is that we need them to pollinate, right? And a lot of insects to pollinate. And it's like, there's a connection with nature. But then if you look at the thing about humans, like a lot of us, most of us, probably every single human needs to go get therapy, because, and that would help. We wouldn't throw trash out of our cars if we had therapy. We probably wouldn't be mean to our neighbor. We'd probably be nicer to ourselves. It's like there's all kinds of things that have connected us all. And I think that my motivation is that if anyone's doing anything good, that's enough, because it's like, you don't have time to be doing all of the good. And if my passion is picking up trash right now and your passion is feeding the homeless, oh my goodness, of course, like, so we need someone to feed the homeless, we need someone to build homes, so we're all connected. We need someone to save the baby eagles. So the connection is there. And I think that that I always want to just be aware of, like, just because my cause is my cause, it doesn't mean that it's your cause, but your cause is still helping my cause.
Yeah, that feels so right. And when you look at connection, if there's, they're just, if there's a bird and the bird eats a fruit, and then the bird causes that fruit to grow some other place, maybe thousands of miles away, because of letting go of the excrement, and something grows in that, and the connection that we all have. I call us having this connection, the inner net, INNER, because, you can tell, at least I can tell, I'll think of somebody and then they call me and we're so connected, or I'll think of something and it will happen. And that connection is so vibrant, and it's really easier to feel it when you're in nature, especially when you've been sort of mentored to be respectful and in awe of nature, which sounds like you were. And you are, and I am too. And one of the other clients or the other people I interviewed here said that when somebody has a significant life experience as a child in nature, where they had a mentor and they were in nature and exposed to nature in a consistent way, things, they learn better. They become more respectful of nature. They care for it, and they become more conscious adults. And so, I just love what you're doing. And it's just so beautiful. Are there any organizations or anything that you support that you want to talk about?
Yeah, quite a few. I mean, like I said, we're all connected, right? But there's definitely, I'm an ambassador for Five Gyres, which they definitely worthy of checking out. But they look into the science behind plastic and plastic pollution, and they do it with adventure. So they do sailing trips, and they send people out to be scientists and study the Five Gyres around the world, right? And they're just,
tell me what you say a gyre is. Like, what are they defining it as?
Oh, the gyre is the point in there's 5 of them. I can't tell you exactly where right now, but there's 5 of them that are in the ocean, and it's basically where the currents are turning, and they've kind of collected all of our trash.
Right. It's like a gyroscope.
Right. Gyre, exactly.
Yeah.
So they've collected all of our trash. And one of them, the Pacific Garbage Patch, was one of the gyres, and there's the ocean cleanup that's happening right around there, which they're doing great work. That's like Byron, or I can't remember his name, but it was a young guy that was, like, before he was an adult, created this idea to clean up the gyre. So he's cleaning up a lot of our trash.
I love him. I love you. I love this. So you support them, and then you were saying that people can go and they learn how to be scientists. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, they learn the science of plastic. So they're responsible for a lot of policy change when it comes to, like, the plastic bill, like the reason that we don't have those little plastic pieces in our little oil of Olay face scrub anymore. It used to be plastics. It was like a little plastic ball that they put in there. They found tons of the little plastic balls in one of the Great Lakes because they had been dumped down drains and stuff, and they linked it all together and found out that it was from this product. And so it's illegal to make face wash, face scrub with plastic. Which
it should be. Plus, that makes sense.
That's because of the work
plastic all over your face. But anyway,
right. I mean, there's no benefit. I'm not entirely sure why. It was just cheap, and maybe they had it available. But I mean, we make decisions and we learn from them, and hopefully they've learned and they're not doing that again. But yeah, so Five Gyres is part of other organizations that have helped to make policy change happen. So I'm a supporter of them. LA Waterkeeper, there's water keepers all over the US, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool. There's a
Yeah.
lot of water and we need to take care of them. But LA Waterkeeper, I'm I think I'm still an ambassador, but I still support them. And then Kind Humans is a cool organization. They're not an organization. Actually, they're a B Corp. They're a B Corp, but they're like, I call them the eco-friendly Amazon, where you order online, and when you order from them, they give a percentage to causes. It's like children, water, and education, and then all of the products are vetted for the planet. So it's kind of like, it's kind human shopping.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much. That's so cute. I love it. And it's so valuable and important. I love it so much. And do you have anything that, like, I haven't asked you yet? I know I'm going to ask you one more question at the end, but do you have anything else that you want to share that feels important to you?
Yeah, I do want to mention real quick about Green the Bid too, which is another organization that I'm working with, but they are doing the impossible task of trying to make production green. So like, I work in the TV industry, commercials, and we are a very wasteful industry, and so
Oh, I know it.
very wasteful.
I'm an actor. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why aren't we recycling our paper? Why are we creating a whole new script every time? Can't we use the back of the paper? Can't we use the back of the script? What do you know that? Yeah. So go
Yeah.
ahead.
It's true. I mean, it's true. It's and single use plastic water bottles, and the pandemic didn't make it any easier, because then they started wrapping all of the food stuff in individual plastic wrapping, and so Green the Bid is one of other organizations, but they're one that I believe in, is that they're trying to implement in all productions. Like, there should be a part in the budget that is for sustainability. It's like, you have to dispose of your trash, so why wouldn't you just have another line that's for composting, recycling, like, hire people to be on set to make sure that these things happen. So they're advocates for that.
I love that. There's a place in Norway that I want to interview where the Norwegian company taxes companies that make things out of plastic. And then if people pick up the plastic, let's say it's been littered and they find it and they pick it up, they get paid to bring it to a recycling place. The company who made the plastic has to pay them to recycle it, and then they have to buy their plastic back, at a higher cost, so that the company who's recycling it also makes money. So the company itself is the one who's responsible, and I might be saying it wrong, but the company itself is the one who's responsible for taking care of their own footprint on the planet. And I like that way of doing things, where you're making that company say, okay, we're going to do this, and we're going to reward the people who pick up the trash. We're going to reward the people who recycle the trash, and we're going to reward the company. I think they get to buy the plastic back cheaper than they would real, virgin plastic in the recycled form for a better price or something like that. So it works. It's a win-win, but they get also penalized for making things in plastic.
Yeah, it's producer responsibility, and that's something that, like, Heal the Bay and Five Gyres have been really fighting to, like, hold people accountable, because the corporations put such pressure on us to be, like, in charge of recycling, when it was like, we're not even really recycling, but it's like, if they're going to make us responsible for recycling, they should be responsible for receiving the recycling. So I think that it's full circle, closed.
I agree.
Recycling,
I actually called Amazon.
I called Amazon connection thing.
It is. I called Amazon and I said, look, when you have people who are, let's say, Prime members who get a lot of boxes, why don't you do a box recycling pickup? So when the next time you come and you drop something off, why don't you pick up any boxes that they have and take them back to Amazon and then use them again? And they were like, oh, that's such a good idea. I'll tell them. But I haven't seen anybody experience that. Not, I don't know. I haven't heard that. And the other thing is about single-use plastic bottles, for example, and maybe for food that's in plastic. But they did a study recently that showed that in those little plastic bottles, this is why mine is glass, and I use it over and over again. Thank you, Voss. That there's microplastics in the plastic water bottles. Yeah. So there's a real incentive, if you're watching this and you drink from a plastic water bottle, I would say recycle it and then get something out of glass or stainless steel and reuse it over and over again, because you're drinking microplastic and we don't know where it's going in the body and what it's doing. But I just got the feeling that our bodies do not need any plastic in them.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't. We don't need it. We
Yeah.
shouldn't have it.
Yeah. I love what you're doing so much. Now, what would you say is something that other people can do? And will you remind me of the hashtags that other people can look up so that if they're into canoeing or kayaking or any of those things? I like the outrigger canoe too. That's really fun. I like kayaking. I like it all. But do you have any? Yes, remind me the hashtags, and then tell me anything that you would suggest that other people could do that besides not drinking out of plastic water bottles and picking up their trash and not throwing away trash on the street or the water. We said a lot of things, and don't
Yeah.
bully.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, I mean,
Be kind and have
you make
compassion.
the point. You make the point for me because for what I think that what everyone and anyone can do is just what they're capable of. What they can do is what they should do, you know, because some people are single moms, some people are homeless, some people don't have jobs, you know, and they don't have the time. Some people are super rich but don't have time. Donate your money, you know, but whatever you can do, just do that. And I think that that would alleviate a lot of stress, and then also, you know, encourage each other. But the hashtags are hashtag training out the trash and then hashtag scora out the trash.
I love it so much. And I love what you said, and just do what you can do, because everybody's got a different experience. But like in this story I was reading, there were people that were homeless that were bringing in $1,200 a month from picking up litter and taking it to the store. And then the stores were making more money because they were getting more people coming in to bring their their recycling in, and then the people came and shopped, so it just becomes a win-win-win. And I think part of what you're talking about, when we take care of our space and we stop throwing it out into the world, our space becomes better, and then that space next to us becomes better, and then that space, and it becomes a connection.
Yeah, think globally, act locally.
Yeah,
That's
I
not
love it.
mine, but I use it a lot.
It works. It works. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Sarah Craig. I just really appreciate you, and I love what you're doing, and I hope more people will do it. I do this if I'm walking anywhere. If I'm walking in a parking lot, I pick up the trash on the way in and I throw it away before I go into the store, or to whatever I'm going to. And I think it's so important, and when I'm on a hike, I pick up trash, and it's just so important to do what you can do. And I just love you so much. It's so good. Thank you so much for being here on
Thank
Stories
you.
We Love.
Thank you for
And
doing stories we love.
my pleasure. It's so fun. I'm meeting so many wonderful people like you who really care. It makes me so happy to take care of nature, or to take care of children, or to take care of people who need extra care. It's just so beautiful. I'm so glad to be doing this. You're wonderful, Sarah, and thank you everybody who stayed tuned. And I really appreciate you. And come back next week because we'll have something fun again. And thank you again. I love you.